Okay, it is 9:01 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting. Come on, Member Hanson, come on, get it together. The Land Use and Development Committee for August the 6th, 2024. I see all members present. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda 2A, request approval of the minutes from June 13th, 2024 special meeting and the July 2nd, 2024 regular meeting, and the recommended approval of the bills and transfers to the county board. Do I have a motion? Motion by Member Abel, second by Member Hanson. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you so much. So we have no members, we have nobody who has applied to speak to us. So we'll move on to item 4A, Phil Dick, Building and Zoning. Mr. Dick brings 4A 1A, request by Catherine Schwerer, thank you, in case S2401 for approval of a waiver of preliminary plan requirements and approval of a two-lot subdivision final plat for the Clover Hill Farm subdivision, which is in Dry Grove Township at 4213 West Sybarth Road, Bloomington, Illinois, and 4215 West Sybarth Road, Bloomington, Illinois. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Reeve, second by Member Hanson. Okay, Mr. Dick, you have a report for us?
Yes, I submitted a report. There's a plat map that was submitted with it. It's northwest of the town of Normal. It's just north of US 150, and it's on Zebarth Road there. There are two residences on this property, and the second dwelling was built as a farm dwelling, so it was exempt, and that's why there were two dwellings on this property. The applicant proposes to have each of these dwellings on separate parcels so they can be owned by separate parties. The one lot is 32 acres in area, which is mostly farmland, and it ordinarily would be exempt from subdivision, except that access to lot one is through an easement across this property, so that's why it's included as a lot in this case. So the health department has signed off on the two-lot subdivision, as is the county highway department. The Dry Grove Township Road Commissioner has issued a plat access certificate. It meets all of our subdivision requirements, and Mr. Ken Schwer is here if you have any questions. He's the son of the owner of this property. It had been owned by his mother and father. His father has passed a year or so ago. If you have any questions, please ask them.
Any questions for Mr. Dick?
Mr. Dick, could you explain the mechanics of it coming to committee as opposed to ZBA?
This is a subdivision issue, which means it has the decision is how to divide property up or subdivide property up so it can be conveyed. The Zoning Board of Appeals handles cases having to do with use of the property. And so if it had to do with a use being established that ordinarily wasn't, for example, if they wanted to put another house on this property and it wouldn't be a permitted use, then they would have to go through the Zoning Board of Appeals. But this is simply a process whereby the applicant needs to comply with subdivision requirements, and the Land Use and Development Committee regulates that or supervises that aspect of the county's subdivision rules.
One of the concerns is, and I'm a farmer and I know the Schwer family well, and we have this, could potentially have this on our own personal farm, but I guess my concern is looking at it, it looks like down the road, and this is my concern, 30, 50 years down the road, that farm ground gets parceled off into multiple tracts and it eventually turns into a subdivision. And I know you've probably gone through all the rules and regs, and I'm not discounting all the steps that you went through, and it is right, but if you look at it from an aerial, there's lots of homes there now, and could there potentially be more if it goes to a second or third owner and they're sold off. And I don't know how we can ever police something like that.
Probably the only way multiple residences, or the only two ways that multiple residences could be established on this property would be if it was rezoned to the R1 single-family residence district, or if over time the town of Normal expands to this area and annexes it. But it is unlikely that it would be rezoned to the R1 district since there's no R1 near it. And to rezone it to the R1, it would require a public hearing in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and it would have to be approved by the county board. But at this point, it's unlikely that additional residences would be placed on this 32-acre property.
And Phil, the setback requirements because of the pre-existing windmills would probably create an additional concern, right, if you were in the future to do that?
Well, there's an interesting story to this windmill on this property. Back when this wind farm was approved, they had requested a waiver to be closer than 1,600 feet to the wind turbine, and they were granted that by the county board. Also, there's no rules in McLean County that restrict you from putting a house closer than that to a wind turbine. You just can't go through and establish a wind farm without having that setback. But if someone down the road wants to put a house closer to the turbine than the 1,600 feet or whatever the rules are at that time, it conceivably could be done if a residence was allowed in that area. However, on this property, it would be unlikely that there will be additional residences put here.
Any other questions for Mr. Dick? Okay, well, seeing none, all those in favor of approving 4A1A, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you so much. And Mr. Dick, you have items to be presented for information about the Illinois Association of County Zoning Officials, October 2024 meeting.
Yes, it may be of interest to you all because one of the presentations is by Greg Minger, Woodford County State's Attorney, who's been involved in a litigation with people who sued the county regarding a use that the zoning board had approved. And he'll be speaking, this will be a remote meeting, so he'll be speaking. And then the other presentation by Matt Asselmeyer on Zoning 101. I've requested the zoning board members to attend that because it's going to be given basically what requirements are for zoning board members and how to conduct themselves and how to ask questions and what to use as testimony.
Any other questions for Mr. Dick? Okay, well, thank you so much. We'll move on to 4B. And there are two items to be presented. 4B1A, request approval for an intergovernmental agreement to fund the McLean County Soil and Water Conservation District. Can I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Friedrich, second by Member Abel. Madam County Administrator.
Thank you, Chair Klein. I'm happy to answer any questions about this intergovernmental agreement. It is an agreement that we've had in place for a while. As you can see in page 13 at the bottom of the page, the amount that the county is contributing is significantly lower than some of the other governmental entities. The purpose for the county and the benefit to the county for this is that they do provide instruction, education to our staff at Kamlara Park. They also have put riprap and and been part of protecting the wetlands and the embankments of Kamlara Park. And so when you look at the costs for consulting of this type and engineering of this type of work, I believe this is a benefit to the county to be a part of this intergovernmental agreement.
Does anybody have any questions for Administrator Taylor? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you very much. And now it's 4B1B, request approval of a sub-award agreement between the County of McLean and the Ecology Action Center. Going to put that on the floor in motion. Motion, Member Hanson, second, Member Abel.
Thank you again, Chair Klein. This is the sub-award agreement that needs to be put in place for the grant funds that we approved last month. If you'll remember, $200,000 in grant funds were awarded to the county. Part of that would go to improvements at the 200 West Front Street building for energy efficiencies, and the other portion goes to the Ecology Action Center for them to do a community survey. And so that's what this agreement is for.
Are there any questions for Administrator Taylor? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you very much. So item 5 is other business and communications. Just a note that our next regular meeting will be September the 3rd at 9 a.m. And unless anyone has any announcements, we will be adjourned. Thank you all.